Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, and thank you for lending us your ears and your curiosity today. Hidden deep beneath the ocean's surface, the U.S. Navy has just added a secret new sensor that could change undersea warfare forever. It's called the Multifunction Modular Mast, and for $36 million, it gives submarines the power to detect enemy signals before they even rise to the surface. Today, we're going inside the tech the Navy doesn't usually talk about, and why it could shift the balance in future naval battles. But before we dive in, hit like, share, and subscribe. It helps us bring you more deep dive reporting into military and global security. And tell me in the comments, do you think this new mast gives the U.S. a real strategic edge, or is it just another expensive upgrade? I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop your thoughts below. Let's get this conversation going.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're talking about a critical piece of hardware, the Multifunction Modular Mast, or MMM.
Right.
And, the $36 million price tag immediately grabs your attention. But for the person listening right now, the question isn't really the cost, is it? It's the capability. Exactly. It's about what that money buys in a very specific, very dangerous environment.
So what is that specific edge? What does this system really offer in the, deep, dark world of submarine intelligence?
Well, at its core, the MMM is a very advanced radio frequency receiving antenna. Think of it as a set of incredibly sensitive electronic ears.
And the sources say this is a big production contract, right? BAE Systems got the award from Lockheed Martin.
That's right, and that tells you something important. This isn't just research and development. This is happening now. These are being integrated onto new Virginia-class submarines as we speak.
So it's not a standalone gadget. How does it plug into the rest of the sub?
That's the key. It feeds all the data it collects directly into Lockheed Martin's ANBLQ-10 system.
Which is the sub's main electronic warfare brain, essentially.
It is. So you're plugging a brand new super covert sensor into an already powerful intelligence hub. The data is processed for threats almost instantly.
And BAE Systems, they're not new to this game. The sources highlight something like, 65 years of experience?
65 plus years, yeah. They've been building antennas, acoustic sensors, all sorts of communications gear for the U.S. submarine fleet for a very long time.
I mean, that kind of history implies a huge amount of trust, doesn't it? You're building systems that simply cannot fail in one of the harshest environments on Earth.
Reliability is everything. It has to handle crushing pressure, constant corrosion, and still pick up faint signals. The whole mission objective is to locate and identify potential threats. That's the first step to winning any fight.
So let's talk about that strategic shift. We all know the first rule of Submarine Club is you don't talk about Submarine Club because, stealth is everything.
Right.
How did a submarine do this job before? And how does the MMM completely change that process?
Historically, if you wanted to listen for radio signals for communications, you had to accept a massive risk.
You had to stick something out of the water?
You had to raise a mast, an antenna, a periscope, something. And that moment of exposure, even if it's just for a few seconds, that's your moment of maximum vulnerability.
You're basically yelling, "Here I am," to anyone who might be looking.
In a way, yes. You're trading that risk for vital intelligence. In contested waters, that's a trade you really don't want to make.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the sources are pretty clear that the core innovation here is doing all of that. The detection, the identification, finding the direction before the sub even thinks about surfacing.
That's the revolution. It's the ultimate expression of that stealth is key principle. You no longer have to open the door to listen to what's happening outside.
You can listen through the wall?
You can listen to the wall, or in this case, through the water column, without ever giving away your position. It fundamentally changes the risk calculation for the commander.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. If this system is constantly listening, constantly pulling in RF data, does that create any new vulnerability? Is there any way passive listening can be, counter-detected?
That is a fantastic question, and the answer gets to the physics of it. The MMM is a receiving antenna only. It's completely passive.
It's not transmitting anything.
Not a thing. It's only listening. So there's no signal for an adversary to trace back to the sub. It's maintaining perfect radio silence while gaining intelligence. The design is all about maximizing what you can hear while minimizing, everything else.
So the intelligence is operationally free. There's no trade-off. You get the data without giving up your position.
That's the goal, yes.
So let's drill into the sensor fusion. This isn't replacing sonar, so what does it add to the picture?
It creates a true multi-layered view. Your passive sonar is great at hearing things, a propeller, an engine, it tells you something is out there.
A contact of interest.
Exactly. But the MMM provides intelligence that sonar can't. It can identify specific electronic signatures. It tells you who is operating, what they're saying, and where that signal is coming from.
So sonar hears a noise, and the MMM can immediately check if there's a radio signal that matches it.
Precisely. So you go from, I hear a faint acoustic signature, to, that is an adversary warship, Class X, using this known frequency.
Wow. And that's a huge leap. You're moving from a maybe to a definite, and you're doing it in near real time, all while staying deep.
And that speed is what buys you the decision advantage. In submarine warfare, time is compressed. Every second you spend trying to confirm an ID is a second you're not maneuvering or preparing a response. This just accelerates that whole process.
The OD loop.
It shortens the OD loop significantly, yes. Observe, orient, decide, act. You get to act much, much faster.
And that all comes down to the hardware. The sources mention a composite red dome.
Yeah, that's the protective shell around the antenna. It's an incredible piece of engineering. It has to be strong enough to survive deep sea pressure, but also transparent to radio waves.
So it's both armor and a window at the same time.
The perfect way to put it. It's a stealth cloak and a shield. And that was probably the biggest design challenge for BAE Systems.
And just as a quick aside, it's worth noting that all this specialized work is happening at BAE's facilities in New Hampshire, Hudson, Merrimack, and Nashua.
Very advanced, very specialized manufacturing.
So let's pivot now to the bigger picture, the grand strategy. What does this mean for naval power globally? Sources are using this huge term, electromagnetic spectrum dominance.
That is the goal in any modern conflict. It means controlling the flow of information. Your signals get through, the enemy's don't. Your sensors work, theirs are jammed or deceived.
And how does this one antenna help achieve that dominance?
It dramatically enhances what we call strategic situational awareness. Think about it. Our adversaries rely on their own communications and signals to coordinate their forces.
Of course.
By detecting and identifying those signals earlier or more secretly than ever before, U.S. forces get this massive intelligence advantage. You can see their moves on the chessboard before they even make them.
It lets you analyze and respond accordingly, but way faster than the competition.
Much faster. You can track deployments, changes in readiness, all without them ever knowing their communications have been mapped. That kind of covert intel is just priceless.
So the value isn't just what you hear. It's the psychological impact of knowing you're listening to the other side's planning session before they even know you're in the building.
That's a huge part of it. It forces the adversary into a dilemma. Either assume all your communications are compromised or switch to slower, less efficient methods. Either way, you slow them down. You disrupt their tempo.
And that capability difference is what makes a fleet dominant.
It really is.
Okay, and one last critical point.
Yeah.
The name. Multifunction Modular Mast. That word modular seems like a huge clue about the future.
It is. Modularity is how you future-proof a multi-billion-dollar platform like a submarine.
Because the sub has to last for decades, but the tech inside changes every couple of years.
Exactly. The fact that the system has a dedicated payload module is the key here. It means the Navy can add new sensors later on without having to do a massive, expensive overhaul.
What kind of new sensors could we be talking about?
Well, you could add new high-bandwidth data links to send all this intelligence back to the fleet in real time, or you could integrate specialized sensors to track new threats, like advanced unmanned underwater vehicles.
So the UUVs that near-peer competitors are developing.
Right. It means the MMM isn't just one tool, it's a foundational framework. It ensures the Virginia-class can evolve its eyes and ears as warfare itself evolves. It's an investment in flexibility.
Which makes that $36 million price tag seem a lot more reasonable in the long run.
It absolutely does. When you sum it all up, that investment buys accelerated decision-making. It buys strategic awareness. It buys a critical edge in contested waters by changing the operational standard.
And that brings us to a final provocative thought for you to consider. If the most valuable information is that which is gathered without the enemy ever knowing they were watched, how does the MMM change the standard operational expectation for every other country relying on radio silence at sea? What is the necessary countermove to a submarine that can listen deeply without ever surfacing? And how long until that capability becomes ubiquitous? We'll leave you to mull over that strategic quandary. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the technology shaping the future of naval intelligence. Thank you everyone for listening or watching, and we invite you to check out the other deep dives in our back catalog for more reporting into the complex world of military and global security. We will catch you next time. If you found this discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the Geostrategic Podcast for more in-depth analysis on topics that shape our world. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay tuned for the next episode.